There are few tattoos more provocative or more widely rejected than this one. Although the symbol has ancient origins in Hinduism, Buddhism, and other spiritual traditions, that history has little to do with why people get it tattooed today. In almost every case, one of these tattoos in the West is worn to signal allegiance to white supremacist ideology. The version most commonly tattooed is the one used by the German National Socialist Party during World War II, tilted at an angle and framed in a circle. And typically it's not a cultural misunderstanding, it's a deliberate message. Because of that, swastika tattoos carry serious consequences. In many countries, including Germany and Austria, they're banned outright under laws that prohibit hate symbols. In other countries, they're legal but come with social costs, lost jobs, denied services, and sometimes violent confrontations. Once the symbol is visible on someone's skin, it tends to overshadow everything else about them. Many tattoo artists will refuse to ink them. Some studios even keep blacklists of clients who ask. Of all the tattoos that spark debate, few carry such historical weight, or as much modern backlash as this one. Unlike some symbols that shout their message, the teardrop tattoo is small, but implies a lot. Most often worn below the eye, this small mark carries weight in prison and gang culture. Its meaning can vary depending on where it's placed, whether it's filled in, or which region the wearer comes from. In some cases, it's said to represent time spent in prison. In others, it's claimed to signify loss, often of a fellow gang member or close friend. But in the most well-known version, it suggests involvement in taking another person's life. That ambiguity is part of what makes the tattoo controversial. Outside of prison, it's often misunderstood or assumed to mean the worst. And when it appears on public figures or social media personalities, it tends to provoke strong reactions. It can lead to questions about glorifying violence or signaling criminal affiliation, when at the same time some may take it as stylized rebellion. In law enforcement and courtrooms, the tattoo has been used as evidence, fairly or not, to suggest a person's background or intentions. In many gangs, tattoos are used to signal membership, rank, territory, and even criminal acts. Some are made up of numbers like 13 or 18, tied to specific street gangs. Others include symbols, initials, or stylized writing that only insiders understand. For members, these tattoos can serve as a badge of loyalty or as a warning to outsiders. But outside that world, they often carry consequences that last long after the lifestyle ends. In prisons, gang tattoos can determine how someone is housed or whether they're placed in isolation. On the outside, they can lead to surveillance, police profiling, or even retaliation from rival groups. In some countries, immigration authorities have denied asylum to people with visible gang tattoos, viewing them as threats. Some individuals try to leave the life behind, but tattoo removal isn't quick, easy, or cheap, and until that ink is gone, neither is the association. Gang affiliation tattoos are permanent records of choice that are hard to undo, and often judged long before a person has a chance to explain. But perhaps that's the intention. To some, a tattoo of Buddha might seem peaceful or even spiritual, but in many parts of the world, especially Southeast Asia, it can be seen as deeply offensive. The controversy isn't about the image itself, it's about where it's placed and how it's used. In Buddhist majority countries like Thailand, Sri Lanka, and Myanmar, sacred figures are meant to be revered, not worn. Putting the Buddha on the body, especially the lower body or near the feet, is viewed as a serious sign of disrespect. This isn't just a matter of personal opinion. Tourists have been arrested, fined, or even deported for showing Buddha tattoos in public. Shops in Bangkok and Colombo display signs warning visitors not to expose such tattoos at all. And what might seem like a peaceful symbol in one culture can quickly turn into a legal or social crisis in another. Many of these tattoos say they admire Buddhist values, but admiration doesn't always equal understanding. And when sacred symbols cross borders and cultures, the meaning often shifts with them. In Islamic tradition, the body is considered sacred, and so are the words of the Quran. That's why tattooing verses or names from the faith isn't just discouraged, it's often seen as outright forbidden. Many Islamic scholars view permanent tattoos as impermissible, regardless of the design. But when someone inks a Quranic phrase, a divine name, or even the word Allah, it takes the offense to another level. These aren't just decorative elements, they're sacred, and putting them on the skin where they might be exposed, damaged, or disrespected can be seen as a serious violation of religious values. Travelers have faced anger, denial of entry, or harsh criticism after revealing Arabic script tattoos in Muslim-majority countries. Even well-meaning attempts to show appreciation for the culture often fall flat, because in this context, appreciation without understanding isn't neutral. It can come across as careless or insulting. For those outside the faith, it might look like art, but to someone inside, it can look like desecration. At the time, it feels like a bold gesture, proof of love, loyalty, permanence. But few tattoos age more awkwardly than the name or face of someone you're no longer with. Tattoos of ex-partners are common. So are the regrets that follow. Sometimes the breakup is sudden. Other times it's messy. Either way, the tattoo stays. And when new relationships begin, it can get complicated fast. What started as a romantic tribute can become a point of tension or jealousy. In some cases, the stakes are higher. There have been custody battles where an ex demanded the tattoo be removed. Cover-ups and laser removals are common industries built on this exact type of regret. Some people choose to keep the tattoo as a reminder of a past life. Others can't get rid of it fast enough. Either way, it's a sad fact that love, unlike ink, isn't permanent. Not all controversial tattoos are loud or obvious. Some are designed to blend in, to pass unnoticed, except by the people who know what to look for. The number 88 is one of the most common of these. In white supremacist circles, it's a coded reference to that German dictator, with H being the 8th letter of the alphabet. The SS lightning bolts, modeled after the paramilitary unit of Nazi Germany, carried a similarly loaded meaning. Both have been used for decades by hate groups in the US, Europe, and beyond. They're often inked on the upper arm, shoulder, or even hands, visible enough to signal allegiance, subtle enough to be excused or possibly denied if questioned. But law enforcement and hate group watchdogs are trained to spot them. In some countries, these tattoos are treated as evidence of extremist affiliation. Tattoos tied to conspiracy theories have become more common in the past decade, often reflecting beliefs rooted in distrust of government, science, or global institutions. Some of the most recognizable include the letter Q, short for QAnon, the phrase WWG1WGA, crossed-out syringe symbols representing vaccine refusal, or slogans suggesting hidden control by elites. These tattoos have been seen at protests, rallies, and political events, where they serve both as personal belief markers and group identifiers. They've also shown up in viral posts and media coverage, frequently sparking controversy or criticism. Public reactions tend to be negative, especially when the tattoo promotes ideas linked to misinformation or political violence. Employers, schools, and even family members can respond with concern or rejection. In some cases, individuals may disavow the movements behind the tattoos, leading to efforts to cover or remove them. While these designs may begin as personal expressions, they often carry broader social consequences, especially when tied to movements under public scrutiny. Tattoos that depict nudity, sexual acts, or provocative slogans generate controversy primarily because of where and how they're seen. Designs range from stylized pinup art to graphic content placed in highly visible areas like the chest, neck, or legs. In some subcultures, these tattoos are embraced as bold or comedic, but in public or professional environments, they're often considered inappropriate. Teachers, healthcare workers, and customer-facing employees have been disciplined or asked to cover them. In certain regions, these tattoos can even violate public decency laws. The reaction usually depends on visibility and context. What's accepted in the tattoo parlor or nightclub may not be tolerated in a courtroom or classroom. And when images cross into what's considered offensive or obscene, consequences can follow, especially when photos are shared online. These tattoos tend to spark less debate about symbolism and more about where they show up and who's forced to see them. Face tattoos are among the most publicly polarizing forms of body art, not so much because of what they represent, but because of where they're placed. Unlike tattoos that can be covered by clothing, face tattoos are unavoidable in everyday life. That visibility is what makes them controversial. Traditionally, face tattoos have been associated with prison culture, gang affiliation, or tribal identity in some indigenous communities. In recent years, they've become more common among musicians and social media personalities, contributing to a shift in how they're perceived, especially among younger generations. Still, in most professional environments, face tattoos remain a barrier. Employers often see them as unprofessional or intimidating, particularly in industries that value public image or client interaction. Some people have been denied employment or housing based solely on the presence of visible face ink. There's also a stigma that face tattoos reflect impulsiveness or instability. In many cases, a face tattoo becomes the first and sometimes only thing people notice. Tattoos featuring Baphomet, inverted crosses, pentagrams, or similar imagery are often grouped under what is known as Satanic or Occult-themed tattoos. These designs are typically drawn from symbols used by the Church of Satan, anti-religious movements, or broader occult iconography. Baphomet, a horned, goat-headed figure seated in a meditative pose, is one of the most common. Though its origins trace back to 19th century occult literature and later modern Satanist groups, it's frequently misunderstood by the general public. Many who choose these tattoos say they do so to represent nonconformity or philosophical opposition to organized religion, not necessarily belief in a literal devil. Despite that, public reaction is often negative. In religious or conservative areas, these tattoos can lead to tension in certain settings. The symbols are interpreted as a rejection of deeply held beliefs, regardless of the wearer's intent. Whether meant as satire, true belief, or provocation, they tend to draw strong responses. What starts as a joke on the internet sometimes ends up inked on someone's body. Designs range from recognizable memes like Doge, Pepe the Frog, or meme cats, to text-based trends like OK Boomer or TikTok audio quotes. Many are chosen for humor or nostalgia, but over time, these tattoos can become socially awkward, or worse, carry unintended baggage. While most memes are linked to harmless trends, others evolve in ways the original wearer didn't anticipate. For example, a symbol that once represented internet humor may later be adopted by fringe groups or gain political associations. This has happened with several memes over the last decade, sometimes leaving the tattoo's meaning unclear or controversial. Even when the content remains harmless, meme tattoos often face criticism for being impulsive or shallow. Online, they're regularly mocked in forums and comment sections, with users posting about regret or showing failed cover-ups. The hammer-and-sickle is most often recognized as the emblem of communism. Originally designed to represent unity between workers and peasants during the Russian Revolution, it later became the official symbol of the Soviet Union. As a tattoo, it's typically worn to express support for leftist politics or anti-capitalist ideals. But outside of that context, the symbol carries heavy historical baggage. For people from Eastern Europe, the Baltic states, and parts of Asia, it's often associated with decades of authoritarian rule, political repression, forced labor, and mass imprisonment under communist regimes. For people in these regions, the tattoo is not seen as theoretical or symbolic, it's personal. Several countries, including Ukraine, Latvia, and Poland, have banned the public display of communist symbols, including the hammer and sickle. Though tattoos are not always directly targeted by these laws, their visibility can still lead to social or legal consequences. Tattoos featuring political slogans, candidates, or party symbols are designed to make a clear statement. Examples include campaign slogans like Trump 2024 or Feel the Burn, symbols tied to political movements, or phrases such as Blue Lives Matter or No Justice, No Peace. These tattoos aren't controversial because they're misunderstood. They're controversial because they're understood perfectly. In politically divided societies, displaying your alignment permanently on your body can provoke strong reactions. And while it may be thought of as patriotic or principled by its wearer, others may see it as confrontational or out of touch. The response depends on the environment. A tattoo that draws applause at a rally might lead to a confrontation in a different setting. Unlike symbolic designs, political slogan tattoos tend to age quickly. Once the election ends or the movement changes, the meaning can shift or disappear altogether. And while political speech is protected in many countries, that doesn't mean it's free from consequences in public or private life. Barcode tattoos first gained popularity in the late 1990s and early 2000s, sometimes used as a critique of consumer culture. In those cases, they represent a rejection of conformity, an ironic statement that people shouldn't be treated like products, highlighting the feeling of being reduced to a number in a system. Most barcode tattoos are placed on the wrist or back of the neck, mimicking how items are scanned in a store. Some include personal touches, like a birth date or a short phrase embedded in the code. The controversy comes from the associations the tattoo can trigger. In parts of Europe and East Asia, barcodes have occasionally been used by criminal groups or traffickers as a way to mark individuals. That connection, whether direct or not, uncomfortably links the tattoos to real human harm in the real world. And it's not a stretch to compare the design to the numbered tattoos used on Jewish prisoners during the horrors of World War II. Tattoos that read "Do Not Resuscitate" or feature the initials DNR are rare, but they've gained attention for raising serious questions in emergency medicine. In at least 2 documented cases, one in Florida and one in Canada, doctors were faced with patients who had these phrases tattooed clearly on their chest. The dilemma: was the tattoo legally binding? In most jurisdictions, a DNR order must be signed, dated, and officially filed to be valid. A tattoo, no matter how clearly worded, doesn't meet that standard. But in high-pressure medical situations, the presence of such a tattoo can delay care or create confusion among first responders. Some people get DNR tattoos as a form of dark humor, while others intend them as genuine statements of end-of-life wishes. The problem is that the medical personnel aren't trained or authorized to interpret tattoos as legal documents. Even if the intent is serious, the result can be inconsistent care or hesitation when time is critical. While it can be argued that honoring the tattoo supports patient autonomy, it's also true that without legal backing, it's too risky to assume the tattoo reflects a current and informed decision. In short, it's one of the few tattoos that can affect someone's care in a life or death situation, and there's no guarantee it will be taken seriously. Some tattoo designs carry deep cultural or spiritual meaning. Sacred symbols, ancestral patterns, or markings tied to initiation and identity. When those designs are adopted by people outside the culture, especially without understanding or permission, they often spark accusations of appropriation. Common examples include Polynesian tribal bands, Maori tomoko, Native American imagery, or Japanese irezumi. These tattoos are sometimes chosen for aesthetic reasons, but they may hold ceremonial or sacred significance in their original contexts. In some cases, the designs are meant only for members of a specific group or to mark a rite of passage. The controversy comes when these symbols are used casually or incorrectly, turned into fashion statements, stripped of meaning, or modified to fit Western styles. Tattoo artists themselves are divided. Some refuse to copy sacred patterns without cultural ties. In recent years, social media has amplified the debate, with some people facing public criticism after posting images of culturally significant tattoos they didn't fully understand. In the tattoo world, copying somebody else's design without permission is widely frowned upon, even if it's technically legal. Unlike other forms of visual art, tattoos are permanently worn on the body, and original designs are often seen as personal expressions of identity. When someone takes that design and replicates it, especially without credit or context, it's viewed as a violation of both artistic and personal boundaries. This issue comes up most often with custom pieces, original artwork created specifically for a client. Social media has made it easy to screenshot and reuse tattoo designs, but that visibility has also led to backlash when copied tattoos go viral. Tattoo artists may refuse to replicate another artist's work out of respect for the craft. Some have even posted warnings or blacklists to discourage clients from requesting stolen designs. That being said, the controversy here isn't usually about legality. It's about trust between artists and clients, and the expectation that tattoos, perhaps more than any other medium, should be original and meaningful. Thank you for watching the video and making it to the end. How many of y'all out there have tattoos? And if you have more than one, which is your most controversial? And did we miss any? Are there any other types of tattoos that you find offensive? I'd love to hear your comments below. And don't forget to give us a like, it really helps the channel. And subscribe to get notified about more videos like this in the future. In fact, there should be another video on your screen right now that YouTube thinks you might like, so check it out. Thanks again. See you next time.